Hey, what's going on, everybody? So I wanted to make a really quick video. Last night, Christ Fellowship had, well, let me digress. Well, I'm digressing already. I'm not even 10 seconds in. Christ Fellowship every other year apparently has this men's event called Diesel. Diesel is a phenomenal event. It reminds me of like a way shorter version of a Promise Keepers event. It's anywhere between 25 and 5,000 men. Literally, I have no idea how many men show up at these events because I go to enjoy the events and not count how many guys are there. It's that simple. But I want to tell you, like, they have one event on Thursday at their Gardens campus, and then on Friday they have their second event at their Port St. Lucie campus. And I don't know how many men go to the Gardens one. The one I attend is at the PSL, or the Port St. Lucie campus, and I don't know how many guys were there last night. I don't know how many people that auditorium will sit. The campus I attend is way smaller, and I actually like that. There is power in small churches. Let me tell you, don't even get me started. So anyways, the house was packed, and you know, as I've gotten closer to the people at our church, and I've gotten more involved, and I've gotten to know the senior leadership, both at campus level and at the overall picture. People like Coach Tom Mullins, Pastors Todd and Julie Mullins. As I got to know, man, I can do this all day long. Actually, this is going to be a waste of time. So let's just say that I know a lot of people, okay, and I'm blessed, and I'm always surprised if they remember my name. And honestly, I'm an attender of Christ Fellowship. I've served on the lay staff, but I'm just another dude, man. They have 50,000 people, and we're all a cog in the wheel, just doing our small part to affect the larger picture. I say all that because what I saw last night was pretty incredible. I do want to preface this with, I'm also leery because so many men, I have a young man I'm mentoring now, and so many times I hear these young men and older men say, I'm ready to change my life. Let's go. I'm going to live for Jesus. But last night's message was different than I've ever heard before. Last night's message was about in Acts, where Paul's talking about Eutychus. Now, if you're not familiar with the story, I'm going to try to keep this quick. I don't know what that was behind me, but whatever. I'm going to try to keep this quick. But Eutychus is a young man. And as he's listening to Paul speak and speak and speak, and it gets into the midnight hour and probably after, because if we thought that old services would go long, I can't even imagine what first century churches were like. But as Paul is speaking on and on and on, Eutychus starts nodding off. And as he's nodding off, he eventually falls asleep while he's sitting in the window. Okay, if you're not familiar, sitting in a window in the first century church was probably not your best bet, okay? But he was sitting in, all the same, in the top room, cheapest spot in the house because it's probably the hottest. But the window's open. This young guy, Eutychus, was sleeping, okay? And so he falls asleep and he falls out of the window to his death. Now, Paul being Paul, he's like, this ain't happening on my watch. He went down. Excuse me for a second. Lay down. We have our house ready for an open house and all the dog beds and stuff to put away. And you would think that we created a mortal sin by my dog's attitude and him interrupting this video. But I'm not going to let him do that. Eutychus falls asleep. He falls to the ground. He dies. But Paul comes down and says, no, don't worry about it. He's not dead. He's asleep. And he gets him up. And Eutychus goes home, okay? The point of the message was that as men, and everybody does this, but he was pointing out that men, we start falling asleep, right? We start nodding off at the wheel because there might be things in our life that we're actively fighting, but when we're fighting going to sleep, it's similar. And I loved his analogy because we can all associate with that. Maybe not the comment that he made about your wife telling us about our day that we had nod off. My wife's Italian, Sicilian, and Scottish. I'm not saying that to her face. I want to live a little bit longer. So, But I get the point of what he was trying to say, and that was we tend to nod off, and then when we nod off in our walk, when we fall asleep in our walk, we're unaware in our walk, or we're complacent in our walk, and we end up falling in our walk. But he did one step better, and this is what I'm hoping really sticks. Even though we were walking, and then we started to fight, and we fell asleep, and we fell, and we died, God is the one who has the power and authority to resurrect our life at any time. I'm a great example of that. I have been walking for a long time, been praying. If you've been watching our videos for any time, you know I've told you guys all for 30 years it has been my life's prayer. God, use me. And he wasn't using me because I wasn't ready. But on January 7th this year, he met me. And he said, you're ready. And he said, go. Now that's a little different than being dead, right? But if you've watched the other videos we had, I've also explained, like in December, I kind of had a hash out with God, like, I'm done. I'm tired of, it's been 30 years I've been waiting for you to answer my prayer, and there's nothing. I know people that pray about a job and they have the job. I know people that pray about a wife or a husband and they have that, and or a car or something. And I've seen people pray for 20 years and be healed, and that's great. But 30 years is a long time, bro. It's a long time. Until God shows up. And then it's worth every minute of every day. I think that's the reason why the joy has been so savory to me, because it wasn't like it was over and over again and I took advantage of it. See, I value the joy God has given. If you've been on my Facebook or whatever, you will know, like, I fight for my joy. Nobody's stealing that from me. The enemy has no power or authority. My wife, I don't even let her come in against my joy. It's not for sale now that I've got it. I've never had it, and now that I do, I'm fighting for it. So it is what it is. If you were at Diesel last night, I don't know who you might be. Here's what I would say to you. Embrace it. God has been using my wife and I in ways we truly never thought would be possible. After 30 years of praying, for all intents and purposes, I basically gave up. The only thing that I told God was like, okay, if you're not going to use me in ministry, if you're not going to use us for this, you're not going to use us for that, then anything you give me to do, I'm going to do with excellence. That was my prayer, my confession in November or December. I remember having this argument with God. I'm in my car on my way home, practically screaming at him. I wanted to be used. I have a story, and it's God. But it wasn't time. On a side note, I know it was God that was waiting for me to give him that. It was no longer about Russ or Lisa. It was about him. Will you serve me in excellence in everything you do? And the answer is yes. So God enlisted us for service. It's cost us everything, but it's oh so worth it. And I'm going to say the same thing to you men. You can do one of two things. You can go like, wow, last night was powerful, and you can continue looking at pornography, and you can be good to your wife and your children for a short time, and you can speak okay to your boss for a short time, and anything can be done for a short time if you remember, not enough. Not enough. It's not a prolonged time. It happens over time. And then you're asleep, and then you fall. And that's how the enemy gets us. What I would encourage you to do, seriously, Pastor Travis said this at the end of it, and the only thing I was slightly disappointed in, if I had any disappointment at all, was that nobody talked about Crew Code except for Crew. Oh wow. The Crew podcast. Crewcast. Okay, so Crewcast is coming out, but here's what I would recommend. not only do we all need Jesus, but we all need men in our lives. And I know that sounds weird. I need a man or 2 or 3 in my life to hold me accountable. You know, if it wasn't for about 8 men, I would have never broken the pornography habit. To this day, I still have Covenant Eyes on my phone with 3 men and my wife. So I don't nod off. Or if I am nodding off, they are there to say, yo, wake up. You're nodding off. So you can try to fight this on your own. You can stop trying to vape on your own. You can stop using alcohol on your own. You can stop smoking on your own. You can do all these things on your own. It's just going to take you a lot longer and it's going to cause a lot more pain. Why? When you're doing life with other men who are hyper focused and on the same thing you are, being a better man in Jesus, oh brother, pornography, nothing. Smoking, nothing. Drinking, nothing. Whatever's in your life, these guys holding you up. And if you do fall, if you find the right men, they pick you up. They hold you close. They help restore you. I can't tell you how many times I went to my guys and said, I fell badly. I can't tell you, I can tell you one. I had an emotional affair, and I will tell you, it was scary telling that to my guys because I did it for about 6 weeks behind their backs. And I finally, when the day came to have a physical affair and I didn't do it because my wife had never done anything to me, she didn't deserve that. But I was preparing a way to do that. I went to my guys. I said, I need your help. Actually, I had 2 guys. One was a Christian and one was a super strong Christian. And I went to him and said, man, I'm about to make a mistake. And the one that was obviously the more grounded immediately prayed with me, never condemned me, just loved on me, and then told me everything I needed to do to get away from it. And I did it. I quit my job. I walked away. And God saved my marriage and restored whatever damage I did to it in between that time. So, fellas, I have a twofold agenda for this. 1, I got a new camera and I'm testing it out. 2, don't fall away from last night. I'm going to share with you one of my biggest disappointment at going to men's function is to see all these men jumping around, dancing and praising God and lifting their hands and hooting and hollering for Jesus. And then they go back to church on Sunday and there's somebody completely different, all because the person on the right or their left know who they are. Who cares? Be who God has called you to be. Be the person God has said you are. You're an heir to the throne. You're his son or his daughter. Don't let it go. God didn't put himself on a cross so you can have a mediocre life. He didn't do it. So if you made a choice last night, I'm encouraging you, get plugged into a crew group. If there isn't one, start one. You don't have to lead it, start one. And ask somebody to lead it. Ask one of the pastors. Are you kidding me? Our pastors at Christ Fellowship are so phenomenal. If you said, I want to start one, would you help me? Just lead it for 4 weeks. Help me get one started. Teach, coach, and train me. Or help me identify a leader. Oh man, they would be game in his heartbeat. And I'm sure like every pastor that's there is like, thanks, Russ. I don't have enough to do. But the point is they love you. And they don't want to see you at the next diesel coming forward for the same thing year after year and time after time. See, Scripture says we're more than conquerors. That's what he was trying to say last night. We're victors in Jesus, not victims. You can choose to be a victim by falling. So what do you want to do? What do you want to do? For me and my house, we're going to serve the Lord. For my wife and my children and my family and my community and everybody else around me, I owe it to them to be the best man of Christ I can possibly. Am I perfect? Look at his face. There is nothing perfect about it. but this is the image God has given me, and I'm okay with it. I do have a cool beard, though. You got to give me that. So, and I think that's one of the issues that most men have, is just accepting who they are. Accept who you are and allow God to work on you. Now, I can go on this topic for quite a while, because being a man that God has ripped the guts out of and renovated from the inside out, my heart's full of joy. And by the way, if you think I'm just some guy with earrings from Christ Fellowship and a big talking head on your phone or your tablet or your TV or wherever you might be watching this, you have no idea. No idea. And just a little bit of credibility. You can shut this off right now if you're convinced, but for those of you that are curious who this bald guy is that might be saying this to me, I was lost, man. I hated God growing up. My dad would proclaim the gospel. My mom and I lived in poverty in the ghetto, and I didn't have nice clothes. And I could hear half the 70s and 80s kids going, "Oh, you didn't have nice clothes." Y'all, I was a single child. I'm the bottom of 9, but living in a single family home wearing hand-me-downs. Okay? When you all say impoverished, it's like, well, I had to eat bologna sandwiches. Y'all have bologna sandwiches. My mom would make an egg sandwich for me. An egg sandwich at 8 or 9 years old. We were so poor. Remember, you'd have to come in on subsidized. You have to pay 15 cents for milk. We were so poor, we didn't have to pay the 15 cents. That's just how broke we were. As I got older, I learned how to fight. I had to. A white dude in a predominantly black, Hispanic, and Laotian or Hmong Vietnamese neighborhood, man, I knew how to throw down by the time I was 10 or 11. I got knuckles to prove it. If you can't see that, man, I got scars on scars. I think I was 11 years old the first time I got threatened to go to juvie. I think I was 13 the first time I kicked a man in the head and I tried to kill him. I started carrying a gun at 13. So I wasn't a nice guy, y'all. And I remember watching a movie. I'm going to take you back. I think in my teens, and a movie called Lethal Weapon came out. Mel Gibson says a line to Danny Glover, which was, God help me. And he goes, I don't believe in God. If there is a God, hate him. Because that's it. Danny Glover says, God hates me. That's what it is. And Mel Gibson's response was, hate him back. It works for me. And that was my philosophy. If there was a God, which I really didn't believe in one at the time, then I would hate him too. Because look at the life he gave me. This is the life a loving God would give me. One of poverty, one of fighting. I watched a man when I was 11 years old get shot in the back of the head, less than probably 100 feet from my home, and kicked into a ravine. That was my life. I'm not sorry. I'm sorry that I was subjected to those things, but I'm not sorry for the way God has used them for making these videos. I'm not afraid to talk to any guy. I'm a biker. Okay, so what? You have a motorcycle and tattoos. You're a little bit rough around the feathers. You're a little bit rough around the edges. Whatever. I'm a professor. Cool. I have a master's degree in business. 1 of 3 degrees, not masters. Wow, that'd be bad, but I'd still be in school. I'm educated. Might not appear like that to get those degrees anymore, unfortunately. Yeah, I just said that out loud. And again, this isn't about me, it's about you. I'm just letting you know, there's nothing so bad that you've done, said, been, thought, that God doesn't already know. And He still wants you. He still loves you. He still wants to be with you. And better yet, He's still calling you to stand and be the man He's called you to be. So, this video is going on way longer. Love you guys. I hope somebody gets something out of it. It is what it is. If not, oh well. If you liked it, thumbs up, subscribe, whatever you got to do on YouTube. We're testing out a new camera. I didn't turn on any lights on purpose because I want to see how it looked. So maybe you'll all be spared and just see a big black head, kind of like it was one of those anonymous videos. You've seen those where people are like confessing about other people? Anyway. All right, y'all. You have a good day. Talk to you later.